We're going to open up to questions.
Well, Coach, a big sweep against Bemidji this past weekend. They've given you quite a few issues over the last couple of years and a lot of overtime games. So what was it like for the guys to celebrate a couple wins, especially there?
Well, it's always tough to win two games on any weekend, especially two on the road, and going up to that venue. And, I thought our guys did well. We found a way. We were opportunistic on our opportunities, finished off some really nice plays. And at the end of the day, this time of year, it's so important to continue to try to get wins and points to gain traction. And for us to go up there and to get all six, I think it's a real credit to our group, to our coaching staff. They did a great job preparing these guys, and our guys did a great job executing. So, we'll take it and put it in the bank, and it's time for us to move on. Like I said to the guys, you can't get too high or too low this time of year. You're going to win games, you're going to lose games, but you got to hit the reset button. And we got to get back. We got to get back to work.
Yeah, another week, another CCHA player nomination. Jackson gets Defenseman of the Week this week. Just what was he doing in particular, other than just in the stats with the assists? But what was he doing ultimately to lead to this type of performance and an award?
Well, what's really neat about Jackson is, we kind of talked a little bit this morning, you and I, on it, is that, he was a forward at Arizona State, then moved back to D, transferred here to be a forward. And then this year, as we started going, and we had some injuries early on, or, kind of the beginning of the season, I met with him to ask him his thoughts of playing D. And I said, you can say no, but we could use you back here right now. And, his reference, paraphrasing was, I'll do whatever. I just want to win. I want to play, kind of out of it. And I said, and if you don't want to play D, we'll keep you up front, often and play forward. But I think that just goes to show you what type of person he is. That is his last year of college hockey and wants to do whatever he can to help the team win hockey games and win as many as we can and prolong his college career. And this weekend was just a really solid weekend for him. One thing, he skates well. He's calm on the ice. He makes plays under pressure. He's not a real hectic player. Like he brings a really cerebral, game, to our lineup back there. And obviously he did a great job getting pucks up, getting pucks through. And what did he finish with? 3 assists maybe and a +4? That's pretty good. So real credit to him, and it's great to see his game evolving and continuing to get better each week.
And you still have a nice mixture going here. You start with Cole on Friday and go Jacob Saturday, and of course you still have Palmer and Wayne in the wings, who's excellent. But just talk about that goalie room, just continuing that momentum with another strong.
Yeah, it's always a decision we got to make, right? And both of them, all three, have been really well. I actually met with Palms up in Bemidji. I saw him in the gym there in the afternoon, and it just explained to him, like, you're doing nothing wrong. It's funny how it goes. It's sometimes not always fair, right? It just, the way things kind of shape out, and the first half of the year it was kind of him and Jacob playing, down the stretch of the first half, and then how it's kind of unfolded is nothing that he's done wrong. And Jacob and Cole have been doing really well, playing well, being able to get focused for one game weekends and being really good at that game, and knowing that if I go in and do my part, maybe I play the next game right now, or if not, I got a good counterpart that's going to be fresh and ready to go too, so and we actually have 3. Like, I have no issues with any of our goalies. I've said that since day one, throughout it, and it's right now we've kind of got 2 of them that kind of found some rhythm together, and worked out last weekend well, and worked out ever since we started doing it the second half of the year. The game Jacob lost was to Lake State 1-0, and he did his part. We got to do our part. So it's good to have all 3 goalies going, and it's really good from a player standpoint and a coach standpoint, knowing that we're very confident in all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, Coach, more on the offensive side. We mentioned Jackson Niedermeyer, Defenseman of the Week for CCHA, but Ben Duran also had a very good week. I think 3 goals and an assist he finished with, kind of quietly, I think, up to the second highest scoring player on the team. So just what did you see from Ben's play this weekend?
Well, I think Kevin mentioned it this morning. You know, it was like the pay it forward was your comment, right? I think in our talk. Remember in Ferris where he gave it up to why not first goal? Well, it's funny how it comes back and he gets to score the empty net in that game, right? Off it, where we were talked about a player that was at that point kind of struggling to score would have easily have taken that shot to kind of help maybe get him over the hump. But he, you know, we talked about our culture and how good of a team we have and how good of players we have and care for each other. And you saw it right there, you know. And so that pay it forward kind of mindset, here he is again and out at the empty net, makes a great play and scores, had a nice power play goal. Ben is just a 200-foot player. You know, we got to keep him kind of dialed in sometimes. He can get off the rails there and go, you know, he's an aggressive, he's a passionate player. He plays with his heart on his sleeves, and, you know, sometimes he crosses that line, right, and puts us sometimes in position, you know, where he might be in the box that he shouldn't be in. And then, but at the same time, the one thing you never have to do with him is you never have to get him ready to go. Sometimes you got to pull him back a little bit, but, you know, you'd much rather have a team full like Ben Durant playing on his toes, playing physical, playing passionately with emotion to his game than trying to get guys to play. You know, so he's been, you know, rewarded, I think, for his honesty of his game, his 200-foot game, and, you know, it's great to see because it was from a pure offensive standpoint, goal scoring. Him and I talked about it because we don't really talk to guys about goals. It's all about your play. Your goals become a byproduct if you play the game right. But him and I were talking, like, I couldn't even tell you after Christmas, like that. I forget what he said. He had 2 goals, 3 goals maybe. I didn't even know that because he's still gonna, and he's on the power play. You know, so he's on the power play because he does right things. He wins faceoffs. He goes to the right areas, and, you know, it's nice to see him get rewarded because he stuck to it. He stuck to the grind.
Yeah, first game as well. He had 2 goals, but Max Martin had the game-winning goal second night. I believe it was Jake Sloan. Brett Foe, and Max Martin seemed to have very good games. How did you feel that the scoring depth is starting to increase now in the second part of the year?
Yeah.
Not really focusing too much on those top guys. All 4 lines really scoring.
Yeah, it's great. Anytime you can get everybody to contribute. You know, it's funny when we were playing, even off that, you know, and all those guys, it's nice to see Max Martin scores first goal of the year. What a play. You know, what a pass up there. Was it from, I'm trying to think, was it Needs threw that one up to him maybe? Sloaner, yeah, Sloan threw it up. And then the 2-on-0 between Sloan and Brett Foe, I said to them, I've never seen anything like it. I'm not sure what they were doing. They came in, he made the pass, got deflected, came right back to Sloan in the slot, and then he passes over to Brett, who's not even facing the play. Turns him one time, so I was like, I'm on the bench, like, what is going on? So I told him, and then when I watched it afterwards, I was still thinking, like, what's going on here? But, you know, it's funny because, you know, you look a weekend ago how we were hard-pressed to score, you know, and now the puck started to fall in for us, and we were opportunistic and got some bounces, you know, that we created. But anytime you get depth, scoring's great. I think what's really good about our group, you know, all 4 lines is, you know, if you look through it, all of them played against their top line at some point. It doesn't matter to me because I don't really match, you know, a line against a top line because I feel if I got to do that, then we haven't prepared our guys to play well enough without the puck. Everybody should be able to play well enough without the puck, defend properly, structurally, good habits, good details, and have pride in it. So, I know one time they had, you know, their top line there with the centerman Funk out, and I remember looking the second game, we had Steinman in net, who was a freshman, we had Cramps and Higgins on the ice, and then we had all 3 freshman forwards, Minville, Levis, and Wynot. So we had 6 freshmen, including Steinman on the ice, on the road against their top line, you know. But that's also my confidence in those guys that they can go out and defend. Because, again, if you can't defend and compete hard without the puck, you probably can't help contribute. And I feel all our guys can do that, and I have confidence all of them playing against any line out there. So it's great to see the balanced scoring, but it's even better to see the balanced defense, you know, that we've done. Because, again, this weekend we let in, I think, a goal each night. You know, the weekend before we let a goal in each night. The weekend before, a goal in each night. So we played 6 games and allowed 6 goals against, you know, off it. And, you know, I think that probably contributes to a little bit of some of our success in that stretch because we're not giving up a lot either.
Yeah, 6 games in a row, as you mentioned, allowing exactly 1 goal. Is there something specifically you attribute that to? Is it being able to hold on to the puck and winning puck battles? Is it the defensive defenseman play? Is it the goalies that are holding you in? And what do you specifically?
When you do something like that, it's everybody. It's contribution by everything you said. Ozone time, is a big one because if you can hang on the puck in the ozone, you wear them down. They're tired. By the time they get out of their zone, they got to dump it, and then they got to change, and you get puck possession going back. I think we've done a really good job of negating teams to get to the middle. When we do have breakdowns, we've had really good goaltending. Our penalty kill's been really strong. So it's just a lot. The guys have done a good job. We're, blocking pucks more. We always say I don't think we lead the league in a lot of in the block shot category, but I always say sometimes I don't know if we want that because we want puck possession. We want to be in the right areas. I always say when you got to block a puck, and we have to block them in a game, but you normally have to block them because you're out of position. If you're in good position, I should be able to take that shot away from you and not be 20 feet away and have to go down to one knee and try to sacrifice myself. So I think our guys have done a really good job of defending from the inside out and then transitioning quickly up ice. And like I said, at any times we've had any falter or breakdown, our goalies have been there to save us. So it's been good.
Yeah, going into this weekend, last non-conference series of the year, and then I believe 4 straight weeks of top 5 conference teams. What are the goals this weekend? Is it to go in and take wins? Is it to
everything's to win.
4?
You and I want to play checkers right now. I'm here to beat you. Everything's a win. We're not here for participant ribbons. And our mindset is we're prepping to continue to do what we do, whether it's exhibition games, regular season CCHA games, non-conference games. These are all important games, especially coming down the stretch the second half, and we have good momentum right now. I think we're playing good hockey, but that can also turn, so we have to keep our mind focused. We have to understand that we have a really good opponent coming out the other side, that we're going to face 2 nights in a row, and we're going to have to play our best hockey. And I say that each weekend. Each weekend is the next biggest weekend. We talked about it coming in to this weekend. It's now the most important weekend. And when we get to the following weekend, it's going to be the most important weekend. So for our group, it's a balance of staying loose right now, but also, making sure when we need to do work, we got to get work done. We got to get better in practice, but we also, we're not here to grip the stick either. I think we're showing growth, but we also know that we don't want to take 2 steps back this time of year.
Peter, you got any questions?
Actually, Coach, you use Sports Logic, I think, for your numbers. I use Instat, a little different, but the same. One thing I noticed, I didn't do a deep dive, but I did take a look at your last 8 games versus your first 8 games. And one of the things I noticed different, and I want to know your thoughts on how much Jackson Niedermeyer may have had an influence on it. In the first 8 games, your goals against was around 3 per game. The last 8, they're 1.38. That's basically a goal and a half a night. And you talk about the transition from what Jackson brings with his elite skating and his passing and that. How much of an impact has it really made him going back on defense?
Yeah, it had. Like I said, he's just a calming factor. And when you watch him play. We joke. He reminds me of Mike Modano with the jersey flapping, out the back. Remember when Mike Modano skated? He was so efficient and smooth, and I always say he looks just like him. When he gets up the ice, his 2-3 strides create such good separation, and bringing that back end, like I said, the calmness he brings. He doesn't have any panic. And, he's a player that you think about it, he's gone 18 months without playing defense, and now he's out there on the penalty kill. He has some power play time. He's out 5-on-6. That's a lot. It's a lot harder going from forward to D than D to forward, right, off it. So real credit to him. There's going to be times out there where he might, make the, wrong decision or have a little bit of a setback in that shift. But, we got to also understand from a coaching standpoint, we're putting him in a tough position where he's bailing us out. He's coming in to help us, and he's been dynamite. And the other big part with him is, like I said, his personality out there is great. He knows when to laugh and joke, and he knows when to ratchet up and be serious, often, and lead by example. So really fortunate to see his game evolve here for us the second half.
Yeah, and I know like most coaches, your first thought is your team, how they're doing, what they're doing, and with the success you've experienced lately, you're battling for the CCHA regular season championship. But lo and behold, you're actually sitting at number 20 in the NPI. And what would it mean to actually make the tournament without having to do it as a bid, like an earned bid, as opposed to winning the championship?
Well, I was talking yesterday, actually brought that up with Don Lucia, the commissioner, the CCHA. We were talking about a couple of things, and I just said to him, I said, it's great to see all the teams where they are right now. It's great from a pure standpoint that where Augustana is, where St. Thomas is, where Mankato, where Tech, where ourselves are, in regards, because for me, I can use that as a recruiting tool. Like we're in a whole different state now, where we have, in the top 16, I think maybe it's St. Thomas, Augustana, and is Mankato there, or did they drop? I forget. But they're right on the cusp too, right? 18 or 16 themselves, right? Like, so depending on how things fall, like in years past, 18, yeah. So years past, I'm new to this, right? It was normally just championship team pretty much got in. Maybe one year Mankato got in still because of where they were, off it. But I think what it's showing is, if you look at the non-conference records this year, like the CCHA has done pretty well. And like the other teams, which is great, and I always say when we're not playing and they're playing out of conference, I'm the biggest CCHA fan. I want Bemidji to win and Augustana and all of them right off it. But, for us right now, it's so funny because that NPI fluctuates so much, like you have one weekend where, you're on the cusp. We were on it right before Christmas, and we lose one, and we're back down. Like the swings of it are pretty big. But right now, our whole focus is just, how do we continue to get wins each weekend? This time of year, it's so important that we just kind of focus on the not the bigger picture, but the smaller picture, and we take care of that. Then we always say, then in the end, we'll have a nice painting. But we can't worry about those things right now. We have a tough conference. We have 2 non-conference games that are going to be difficult with Notre Dame, and then as we know, we have 4 really tough series finishing up. So it's going to be a really good test for our group, as we build. But one thing I challenge the guys is like, the hourglass when we started the year had all the sand in it. It's getting lower, lower, and lower. And our job is to do what we can to prolong our seniors and give them the longest tenured of being able to play hockey. And that's who we play for this time of year, is trying to extend, as many games as we can as we move forward so that our seniors can enjoy the longest senior season, right? So, but the hourglass is the sand's getting lower in it, and it's up to us to, either slow it down, otherwise it speeds up too fast. So it's an exciting group. We're excited about the weekend, and like I said, we have a lot of work to do.
My final question, speaking of this weekend, Notre Dame, their record isn't obviously where they want it to be, but they're a big, strong, physical team. What are your thoughts going into this weekend?
Yeah, we got to manage pucks. The same. We got to stay out of the penalty box. They have good special teams. To me, it's the team who's going to play to their identity with the most consistency. And we have to have an understanding that, we're going on the road first, and we're just worried about us right now. We're going to have, highs and lows throughout that game, and waves that, we're going to have to either, ride it when it's high and make sure we stay humble, and we're going to get, some shifts and down in periods, or maybe down in the score, and we just got to stay that even keel, and I thought we showed that last time we played, a Big Ten opponent in Ohio State. You're down 2-0, you tie it up 2-2. You're down 3-2 going to the third, and I'm not saying that's how it's going to work out now, but we're able to stay even keel and remember that we have a job to do, and it's a full 60 minutes. And as we say to our guys, we play resilient for 60-plus minutes. We bend, we don't break. And that's always been our philosophy for the last 2 years, and we'll stick to it.
Great. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. We've got one question in the back.
Hey, Coach, everybody saw what Ohio State brought here and how great of an atmosphere that was. What do you think Saturday has for an encore?
Well, it's going to be exciting. It's been a few weeks now with that game, being sold out and to have the students back, the community, rallying behind it. It's been a lot of talk. It's been great from our alumni, a lot of alumni reaching out, and whether I'm going out in town, a lot of people are, there's a good vibe about it, for sure. And as I said all along, it's an intimidating place to play, and I was saying that when I lived in Seattle, the Seahawks have the 13th man. Well, we have the 7th. We have the 6 on the ice, and when that crowd gets going and it's loud, it's a tough place to play, and we're surely excited to play in front of a sellout here on Saturday, and we're going to do our best to put the best product on the ice and make our fans and our students be proud of us, and but it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a wild night, and I look forward to seeing everybody out there.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
That concludes the press conference.
See you guys.